Today, we're diving into the absolute cinematic, totally unbelievable story of what happens when the most impenetrable vault in the world comes face to face with the most patient criminal mind in Europe. We're unpacking a true story from February 2003, and I gotta tell you, it feels like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood script. It literally has it all: untraceable wealth, ingenious homemade gadgets, a shadowy mastermind, and a twist that you absolutely will not see coming. So let's walk through exactly how this impossible crime went down.
$48 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering value of diamonds that pass through a single, tightly secured square mile in Antwerp, Belgium, every single year. And we aren't talking about massive financial hubs like London or New York here. We are talking about a quiet, historic European city full of cobblestone streets and canals. But beneath that charming surface, 80% of the world's rough diamonds are bought, cut, polished, and traded right there.
Now contrast all that immense, highly concentrated wealth with this number: 123 years. Right at the beating heart of that diamond district sits the Antwerp Diamond Center, and buried inside that unassuming office block is a subterranean vault that, for over a century, remained completely and utterly untouched. No one had ever successfully breached it. So you might be wondering, why was so much of this wealth kept in this specific private vault instead of just, a traditional bank? Well, it really all comes down to the unique culture of the district, and it's beautifully summed up by one word: mazal. Imagine relying entirely on a pure honor system for your life savings. Sounds crazy, right? But since the 15th century, the diamond trade in Antwerp has been built on exactly this kind of trust. Generations of merchants, including many Jewish families who rebuilt their lives there after the Holocaust, rely absolutely on this system. A simple handshake and the word mazal seals a multi-million-dollar deal. Because of this intense tradition of secrecy and deep trust, these traders needed the ultimate private sanctuary to protect their life's work. Okay, let's stack up the seemingly impossible odds facing any would-be thief trying to get into this place. We're talking about a literal fortress buried 7 stories underground. It had a vault door weighing tons, secured by 100 individual combination locks. But say you somehow got past the physical steel, you'd then face an absolute gauntlet of electronics. Infrared heat sensors, a Doppler radar system to catch the slightest movement, and seismic alarm detectors tuned to pick up any vibration. The security chief genuinely believed there was no way anyone was ever getting in.
Section 1. The 2-year scout. Hiding in plain sight.
Look at this sheer duality and extreme patience of the man who decided to beat those odds: Leonardo Notarbartolo. On the surface, he was this incredibly charming Italian diamond merchant. He actually rented an office right there in the Diamond Center, paid his rent on time, smiled at the staff, went to the industry mixers, and he kept this up for 2 whole years. But the reality? He was Europe's absolute best thief. Every single day he was studying. He memorized the camera angles, tracked the guard routines, scrutinized the vault door mechanism, and even locked down the exact frequencies of those complex alarm systems. He was mapping the building's weaknesses like a surgeon. And when Notarbartolo had finally seen enough and the plan was ready, he made a phone call to a shadowy figure known to investigators only as the Genius. The Genius is the unidentified mastermind who actually orchestrated the whole operation, recruited a highly specialized 5-man Italian crew, and specifically chose Antwerp for the hit. He was the puppet master pulling the strings from the dark.
Section 2. The weekend operation. The 48-hour window.
So they had a very specific constraint, which basically built a ticking clock of suspense over a single weekend in February 2003. The working week in the Diamond District ends on Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, this heavily guarded district turns into an absolute ghost town. The crew had exactly 48 hours. They slipped into the building on Saturday morning before the sun even rose and worked meticulously until Sunday evening to empty the vault out. By Monday morning, the vault manager would walk into work and discover the perfect crime.
But how on earth did they actually bypass all that tech? It required surgical, non-violent precision. They didn't come in guns blazing, they were craftsmen. To blind those million-dollar security systems without triggering a single alarm, the crew's electronics expert literally just used a simple piece of foam board, coated it in a light-blocking material, and slid it over the infrared sensors. They neutralized the Doppler radar using a homemade jamming device, and finally, the locksmith, a guy who spent decades learning to crack impossible locks, used a custom-built tool to disable the magnetic alarm on that tons-heavy vault door. And just like that, for the first time in 123 years, the door swung open. Once they were inside the vault, they faced 160 private safe deposit boxes. Think about the sheer physical stamina it takes to systematically rip open 123 individual heavy-duty steel boxes. Each one contained the most private, untraceable wealth of these diamond traders. We're talking loose stones, gold bars, bearer bonds, stacks of cash, and multiple currencies. They loaded all of it into bags, hauled it to their van, and drove right out of Antwerp. The estimated haul for this night's work? A staggering $100 million. But what's truly mind-bending here is that because of the off-the-books nature of the diamond trade, those secret handshakes and unrecorded stones we talked about, investigators believe the actual haul could have been upwards of $400 million. So many traders simply never came forward to report what they lost. The crew left no cameras intact, tripped no alarms, and practically left no physical trace. It was completely flawless.
Section 3. The Salami Mistake, or Undoing the Perfect Crime.
This perfectly illustrates how even the greatest criminal minds can be brought down by sheer absurdity. 5 days after the flawless heist, a municipal cleaner was driving along a quiet forest road outside Antwerp. He almost drove right past a black garbage bag dumped in the undergrowth. See, the crew had kept their trash during the heist and tried to dispose of it safely on their way out of the country. But a wild animal looking for food had ripped the bag wide open, scattering crumpled receipts, wrappers, and, critically, a half-eaten Italian salami sandwich across the forest floor. That one carelessly discarded lunch break gave investigators the partial DNA match they so desperately needed. From there, it took investigators just 3 days to match that DNA to a name in the Italian criminal database: Leonardo Notarbartolo, the charming, polite merchant who always paid his rent on time. When the police finally tracked him down to his home in Turin, he didn't run, he didn't even panic. He was just sitting at his table eating breakfast. His chillingly calm response to the police walking in: "I wondered when you'd come."
Section 4. The Trial and the Lingering Mystery.
But as we unpack the aftermath here, it doesn't just end with a neat little conviction. At his trial in 2005, Notarbartolo refused to rat out his crew, but he did drop a stunning alternative theory. On one hand, we have the official story, a historic robbery by an independent crew. But Notarbartolo insisted the entire thing was actually a massive insurance fraud. He claimed a specific diamond merchant who had a box in the vault, insured his own diamonds for way more than they were worth, and then actually hired the genius to rob the vault so he could collect the payout. Essentially, a victim paying to rob himself. Investigators actually took this very seriously and even had a suspect, but they could never publicly prove it.
Ultimately, Notarbartolo was convicted and sentenced to 10 years, but he was released in 2009 after serving just a fraction of his time. The true mastermind, the genius, was never publicly identified or charged with anything. And perhaps the most incredible part of this whole story, the vast majority of that unbelievable wealth simply vanished like a ghost. Which leaves us with this final incredibly provocative question. Where is the $100 million? The Antwerp Diamond Center is operating right now, humming quietly with rebuilt vaults and brand new security. But somewhere out there, in a safe we cannot see, in a city we do not know, hundreds of millions of dollars in stolen Antwerp diamonds are resting patiently in the dark. It really makes you wonder, will they ever see the light of day again?